Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernie, your special coverage of the 50-cent Pick 4 at Thistledown on Ohio Derby Saturday, races 5 through 8. The Ohio Derby is the anchor leg of this wager. Race number 8 will kick off the sequence with the 5th. It's at 1 1/8. It's the George Lewis Memorial Stakes. There appears to be some speed in this race, and really the question is, can the number 5 Buckeye Bullet, who has won his last 5 starts, successfully stretch out to 1 1/8?
Yeah, I mean, that really is the question. The other thing that you've got to keep in mind, make note, the number 4, Leona's Reward, is cross-entered in the 7th race. If the 4 doesn't go here, I think it makes things much easier for the 5 to go out there and set a reasonable tempo. Now, I understand the 2's got a little bit of gas as well, but I think Buckeye Bullet is a must-use, not one that I'm leaning on, though. I kind of look at this sequence as mains and backups. For me, the 4 and the 5 are both backups. The horse I wanted to have most of the weight in is the 7. I like 8 the hard way.
I agree with you, and I'm going to be using the 7, 8 the hard way also. 8 the hard way tried Buckeye Bullet last time out, but there were extenuating circumstances. A, he was playing Buckeye Bullet's game at 6 furlongs. B, Buckeye Bullet was the main speed, possibly not the situation on Saturday. And C, 8 the hard way was coming off a relatively long layoff of about 5 months or so. He's going to stretch out, and we know distance is what he wants. Look at that win 2 starts back at this 1 1/8 trip. I think he did enough in that last sprint race to indicate that he's come back in good shape and in good form. And if someone runs with Buckeye Bullet early, 8 the hard way I think is the most likely candidate to run him down late.
And I also like that he has at least now, I would assume on the stretch out, he's not going to be that far out of it. I think he's going to be probably 2 or 3 lengths off. He can press throughout, make that move on the far turn, and if for some reason Buckeye Bullet can't see out the additional distance, you know that 8 the hard way is going to be running on.
Now you're going to use the 7 as an A, the 4 and the 5 as Bs. I'm going to use Buckeye Bullet and the 7 pretty much in equal weight, simply because Buckeye Bullet maybe is able to get to the lead. Now, you might say distance is a major problem. It could be a major problem, but the 2 times he's tried going long, coincidentally, both races on turf. Maybe it was the turf he didn't like and not the distance. Buckeye Bullet's trainer is doing very, very good work this year, to say the least. 11 out of 18. Throw this trainer out at your own peril. Race number 6 at 1 1/8. Now, this is a fascinating race from a condition standpoint. It's a $4,000 claiming race, but for each $500 higher that you enter your horse, you have to give yourself an additional pound in weight. So there are some horses in here for $13,000, and I think that says we really like this horse.
I was going to say that, you know what, if you want to take him, you're going to pay for it if you want to come and get this horse. This was one that I have all these horses in equal weighting. I'm going to use the entry. Particularly, I prefer the 1A over the 1. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to take both of them because that's what you get. The 2, Liam Bruno.
That's right.
I hope that's close to the correct pronunciation. I don't think there's going to be a blistering pace in here. And I think the 2 could work out a pretty nice trip in here, pressing the other horse that I want to use, the 6, Wolfden. I think Wolfden goes out there, clears to the front, says, catch me if you can. If it's someone in close attendance, I think it's the 2. And if it's someone from a little bit farther off of it, maybe it's one part of the entry.
I agree with you with your take. You're going to use the 1A, the 2, and the 6 in equal weight. I am using the 1 and the 6 as A's, and Liam Bruno, the number 2, as a B. I think if Wolfden clears to the front, he's going to be very, very tough. 1 1/8 is a little bit of a question mark, but he's by Curlin. I trust in this pedigree. Last time out, he didn't make the lead. Perhaps it was a bit of an experiment, and I just don't think he settles as well as when he gets to the lead. Look at his races 2 and 3 starts back. He is 7 for 12 lifetime at Thistledown and seems very, very logical. The 3rd leg of this 50-cent Pick 4 at Thistledown on Ohio Derby Saturday is at 1 1/16 for fillies and mares. It's the J. William Petro Memorial Handicap. What do you think of the 4 Just a Little Smoke, who won this race last year on the stretch out, coming into this race in just amazingly similar form off a couple of sprint races, stretches out, big speed, but there's speed in this race.
This is probably going to be the key for me in this entire sequence because I'm throwing the 4 out. I'm also throwing the 5 out.
Really?
It's a situation where I guess, look, I could be completely wrong. I think this thing's going to fall apart. I understand the 4 is coming into this race in just as good fashion, and I'm not arguing his credentials. I just wonder if circumstances and race shape are going to work against him because if all the horses go in here, which maybe, I mean, look, there's a real scenario where maybe they don't. They all read the form and say, we're going to get into a barbecue. If they all go, I think this thing is going to just absolutely crumble apart.
But I just can't imagine a situation where the 4 Just a Little Smoke is going to be so intent on the lead that she's going to get caught him in a duel. I mean, if you notice this race last year, she was perfectly content to sit third right off the pace, and she was able to finish. She has sat in 6 furlong races, and she's finished. Now, yes, she's been on the lead in her last 2 races. She dueled Proper Discretion right into the ground. But if Proper Discretion wants the lead, as she stretches out for only the 2nd time in her career, I think Just a Little Smoke is going to sit. You're very, very brave, I think, to throw her out. You're also going to be rewarded if she doesn't win, because she's going to take a lot of money. I'm going to use one of your backups in here, the 7 Bold Kate as an A, along with the 4 Just a Little Smoke. I like Bold Kate stretching out in distance. This is going to be her 3rd start back. She has run well around 2 turns in the past, and something tells me that this high percentage trainer has been pointing for this race all along. Yeah,
this mare won this race 2 years ago, so I mean, it wouldn't be a shocker at all, and they've done this successfully in the past. A couple of sprint races, stretch out, and not going to be a problem in there. I guess for me, the other thing too, keep in mind about the entire sequence itself, I think there's a scenario where a lot of favorites can connect.
And you gotta get some value somewhere.
You gotta get some value unless you're going to be playing in Ticketmaker and you're pounding your race for $10. I want to take a little shot against in here. Another backup I'll use is the 1 Londina Bronca, just simply because I understand the most recent race, that's the only number on the page that stands out. But if the 82 is legit, this is a filly or a mare at this point that can press the pace, doesn't have to be on it, and has a race that is fast enough to win most of my eggs. And again, this just depends on how you handicap the race. If you're in agreement with me and you think that the race is going to fall apart, I think the 11 Sunny Days is sitting on a big one. This is first off the claim for high-profile connections. They do very well off the claim. And this one will be coming from off the pace. The distance isn't going to be an issue. You know what? You got to take a stand somewhere. This is the stand for me.
Sunny Days, 8-1 on the morning line off the claim. The number 11 is Matt's lone A in the 3rd leg of this 50-cent pick 4. He will use the 1 and the 7 as backups. The 4 and the 7 are my main plays in this race. The Ohio Derby is not only the anchor leg of this 50-cent pick 4 at Thistledown on Saturday, it is also your DRF.com formulator race of the day, which means free formulator past performances are available on the Race of the Day event page, along with a in-depth video analysis of the race itself. So we're just going to simply talk about this from a pick 4 standpoint. Your stand from a value standpoint was throw out the favorite in the last race. My stand is I'm going to try to beat Gervin in here as an A at least. He's going to be relegated to backup status. Let's talk, though, about the horse you like, and that's one of the 3-pronged Luch entrants.
Yeah, well, Game Over is just very lightly raced. I don't know that we've seen the best from him yet. We'll find out. The stretch out, pedigree-wise, at face value, probably not going to be an issue, but until they do it, you never know. He's green. I think you're probably not going to get the number you deserve, just simply because these entries always take money. We know Luch and company, they don't mind throwing their money around. And really, the other thing for me, I think there are a lot of talented horses in here. I think Untrapped is very talented. I'm a little bit dubious about how far he wants to go. IRAP, I'm way against him.
I'm against him.
I'm just throwing him out completely. If he beats me, so be it. And I genuinely think that Gervin has a really good chance to win this.
And he has good tactical speed. Listen, the Kentucky Derby was just a disaster with the various foot issues. It was questionable whether he was good enough to win anyway. Then the track comes up wet. It appears he's been given plenty of time to overcome those little foot problems. I've just never been a big fan of his to begin with, you know, on his left lead at the end of many of his races at the fairgrounds. But he's a very likely winner. He is my only backup. Matt, you're using the 1X and the 5 in equal weight in this race. I'm going to use the 1X Game Over because he has all of the upside potential. He is the new face. I'm going to use Untrapped, although I am terrified about the distance. I do like his tactical speed and his ability to work out a good trip. And I think the number 4, Sorry Eric's going to be running late for the DeZormo boys. In the Louisiana Derby, Kent must have had him 4 or 5 paths off the rail throughout. He flattened out a little bit. His subsequent race on turf at this distance was okay. I think the trip works for him. So 1, 3, 4 for me. Gervin, a backup because I've never been a fan, and IRAP like you, out.
This is a little bit of just an off-the-wall question, but I know you and Mike went over the race in depth. Do you think Sorry Eric is more of a dirt horse or a turf horse?
That's a big, big question.
That was my only real hang-up.
I think that the DeZormos are still trying to figure out what he is, because they tried him on turf last time out, and it was a promising enough effort, but he also got a very solid pace to run at, and he still couldn't get there. The money's on dirt. And I think it's a very confident spot for DeZormo that he keeps treating this horse like a good horse, putting him in races where at least he can get a big piece of the pie. Sorry, Eric, 6-1, but I think he's going to drift a little bit because it just seems like this Luch entry is going to take a little bit of money off the 12-1 morning line. Races 5 through 8 comprise the 50-cent pick 4 at Thistledown on Ohio Derby Saturday. We'll begin this sequence. Race number 5, the George Lewis Memorial at 4 o'clock Eastern. Best of luck.